3, 2, 1.
And what's going on, guys? I'm your host, Chris Ford, and you're listening to the Fords and Friends Music Show. And what's going on, guys? Welcome to the first ever recorded podcast version of the Ford and Friends Music Show. Today, I have two special guests on the couch. I have Parker from Good Dog Nigel and Blake from SpeakerTree. Today, we're going to be talking about some music, some things happening in Lynchburg. And guys, just thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to get this interview started. How's everybody doing today?
Doing well. Doing well as well. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. So, first, we're going to interview you, Parker, about some of the things that's happening in your life. Recently, Parker just dropped his new album, so why don't we just go ahead and start talking about that? Let's get the name of it, the inspiration, and just everything behind the new album.
It's called The Implied Sunrise. It is out everywhere, streaming. It's on Wax. It was put out by Infinite Repeats and Harding Street Assembly Lab. You can order it from my website, gooddognigel.com. And I would say the inspiration was, I don't know, I guess just what I was listening to at the time was a big inspiration for me. And I kind of wanted it to sound like that, like it wasn't really recorded in 2018. And I think I achieved that.
Yeah, if you guys go listen to the album, I'm pretty sure a lot of the songs were recorded in a kitchen. Is that right? In
the kitchen, yep, to a Tascam 388, for those of you who know, tape machines. It was recorded in a kitchen, and we didn't really know that much about what we were doing, which I think was part of the charm, and I think it really played into the way it sounded, and I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So a lot of people that I've been talking to when I'm saying I'm interviewing Good Dog Nigel always wants to know where the name Good Dog Nigel came from. So if you could speak on that a little bit, that'd be great.
It's a poem by John Lennon, and it's a book. It's like from a collection of his poems I used to always read in high school, and I was sitting at the computer to upload my very first thing to Bandcamp, and it was going to be called Roy G. Biv. There's too many of those on Bandcamp though, so I was kind of scanning my bedroom trying to find any sort of name to just put on there. Saw that book, thought about the poem, and it just kind of stuck.
Man, Bandcamp was so long ago, and now they have like SoundCloud and all that kind of stuff. So recently, you just had your album debut at the Ellington. It was a great concert. For anybody who went, it was surely a night to remember. Let's just get your opinion on it. What were you feeling going into it, and then when you were on stage performing?
I think it was a great night, and I think leading up to that night, I was very stressed and just kind of created this sort of like mountain of ideas for myself, which were just a little bit, became a bit overwhelming, but I think it paid off in the end. I wasn't feeling well that week leading up to the performance, and then once we were performing, it was just all gone, and it felt fine afterwards. Felt great. And it's really nice to see that many people that all love each other in the same room, sharing the experience. And we're very grateful for people like Blake who, let us play in the Ellington. It was a great night.
Yeah, so right now we're going to take a quick commercial break, sponsored by SpeakerTree and Blake Gederberg here. But when we come back, we're going to interview Blake about some of the success that small businesses have been having in Lynchburg. We'll be right back. All right, guys, and welcome back to the Ford and Friends Music Show. At this time, we're going to interview Blake Gederberg from SpeakerTree and the Ellington and everything else that he's got in Lynchburg, because the man is a guru when it comes to small business. So, Blake, before we talk about the small businesses in Lynchburg, let's go ahead and talk about your stint in the music scene. We were talking before the interview started that this is a 3-year anniversary for a pretty big concert that you were involved in. So why don't we just tell the audience about it?
Yeah, so I used to perform in a band called Pathway Home, and I was the vocalist. It was a heavy band, and I was reminded this morning that it is the 3-year anniversary from our performance as direct support to the Devil Wears Prada, which was my favorite band growing up, and I've seen them over 50 times now, and we had the opportunity to support them at Liberty at the event space, and that was 3 years ago today, and it was sold out, and it was amazing. Greatest day of my life.
I know for me, that was probably one of the greatest concerts I've ever been to. I was a freshman at Liberty coming in. It was the night before my birthday. All of my friends, we all went and just had an absolute blast. And that was the first time I really got to know Blake and Cecil Johnson and Taylor Ustra and all those guys. So that night was a night to remember, and it's hard to believe that it was 3 years ago today. So now we're going to go into some of the small businesses and what business future looks like in Lynchburg. So if you just want to talk a little bit about some of the small businesses you've been a part of starting up and just some of the background behind them.
Yeah, so we have SpeakerTree, which is a record shop in downtown Lynchburg. It's been around for 10 years, just celebrated 10 years this past summer, and I've only had the ownership reins for about 2 years and change. So yeah, we're a record shop. We do a lot in the local live music and live music community. So we host shows and events here at the shop, and then also other places around town, and then recently we are the booking management entity of the Ellington, which is a mid-sized venue, bigger than SpeakerTree, and so we're able to curate shows there. And then also I own Chill City Pops, and that's a family business. My wife's involved in that, makes all the popsicles. So we make fresh, gourmet popsicles made of fresh fruit, organic cane sugar, and we sell them food truck style and at our Wards Road location.
That's fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about the Ellington, since it is the new open. Parker had his debut show there. So give us a little bit of history about the Ellington and what the building was before you took reins.
Yeah, so it was built by a company called the Little Theater Company. That's probably back 70s, early 70s maybe. And they were a theater company that was meeting in like tobacco warehouses and just things all around town, which is really cool because it's a lot of like how I got my start of like, having a booking company and being a promoter, and then having to go and just pretty much put on shows anywhere that they would allow us. So I definitely resonate with that story. And then they ended up building their own venue, which is the Ellington now. Then it was called the Little Theater. It used to be a theater setup where so there's still a catwalk upstairs, like a loft where they have all the rigging for when they used to have the backdrops for the plays. And then it's since been renovated. It changed hands, went to the Ellington Playhouse, which was still put on plays and has very big history in the blues and the jazz events and dinner shows. And that's kind of where it was. And then ever since we took it over, we've been hearing a lot of stories actually about punk rock shows that used to happen back in the day. And it had like kind of like two sides to the business. It was like what the Ellington put on, and then they let like other promoters and stuff work in there. And so people come in and talk about like, oh, I saw this like crazy punk show here, back in the 90s. And, so it's like cool that it had that history. And then so it's changed hands a few times, and then now it's going to be the Ellington, and it's going to be a multi-genre event space. And we're excited about that.
Yeah. So tell the audience, what are some shows that they can be looking forward to that's coming up at the Ellington?
We have the next one is Wesley Montgomery is doing his album release show there with Oceanic and LA Dies, and that's on the 22nd of March. And then the next night, right after that, The Listening, which is a local nonprofit that helps the arts and the poetry and singer-songwriter stuff around town, and they're in a big process of raising funds for the Freedom School, which helps kids in need in less fortunate areas with literacy and getting a proper education so they can be a writer and write poetry and stuff. So they have that on the 23rd, and then a big show with Vacation Manor. It's their kickoff show for their tour, their spring tour. That's going to be on the 29th. And then we have our first comedy show April 4th with Ryan O'Flanagan, which is a comedian from Comedy Central, does some writing with Comedy Central, and so it's exciting. I've always wanted to do like a comedy show, and I think he's pretty funny. And yeah, and then we got some stuff we've been confirming for the fall already. That's going to be really cool. So
Yeah, guys, make sure you guys go check that out. Support the Ellington, support a lot of these local Lynchburg businesses. And one last question before we sign off for the day. Blake, what is some advice that you can give to anybody who wants to start up a small business?
You just got to do it. There's a lot of people that will there's a lot of negativity surrounding entrepreneurship, in the sense of there's a lot of people that will tell you that it can't be done, and that you're crazy and for wanting to do that. But at the end of the day, it's really life's really about finding what makes you happy. And if there's one thing that you're passionate about, and you can probably make a business around it of some kind. And so just create a life for yourself that you're proud of and that you enjoy, and wake up every day and work on the things that you care about. And it can be done. It's a lot of work and a lot of sacrifice, but surround yourself with like-minded people, with people that support your dream, and you can make it happen.
All right, guys, there you have it. That's the advice here for if you want to start a small business. But for right now, that is all the time we have on today's episode of the Ford & Friends Music Show. I just, again, want to thank Parker and Blake for giving their time today to sit down for an interview. Make sure you check out Parker's new album. Make sure you come support everything going on at the Ellington and SpeakerTree. But for right now, I'm Chris Ford, signing off. Thanks for tuning in, guys. This is Chris Ford signing off. Join us next week for another episode of the Ford & Friends Music Show.